Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Monday. Today is Monday, June 14th, 2021, and it is Flag Day in America. Today, I want to talk about one word. And once again, I have to say that when I started the show, I was going to push the envelope. I was going to push it and push it and push it. Some people may, again, agree with me. And there are people who probably will not agree with me. But I have a lot of opinions. And in my opinion, you can pretty much talk about anything. You may not like what people talk about. You may not like what people want to discuss. And you have the option to either listen or remove yourself from the conversation. Or you can join in and include your own opinions. The only thing that I ask is that if you come on my show and you want to add an opinion, you do it in a respectful way. We may not agree, but as long as you're respectful, I will listen to you because everyone, we can agree to disagree. So the word I want to talk about today is the word nigger. Now, this word has been vilified over centuries. And it is a word that when it first came out, it was a word that carried hatred and disgust towards Black Americans and African Americans. And it was a word meant to humiliate us and keep us down. Now, what people do today is they say, well, I'm not going to use the N word, or she said the N word. She said the word nigger. That's what she said. That's what he said. That's what you called me. That's what I called you. The word nigger. It was made to ridicule and make fun of Blacks. It was a term of exclusion. It was verbal abuse, discrimination, whether it's used as a noun, a verb, or an adjective. It's meant to cause harm to Black people. That's a fact. Now, in this country, that word has been put on so many different connotations. When I was talking about racism in I do believe it was Friday's show, my show on strange fruit, I referred to nigger heaven. Nigger heaven is the terminology that was used when Black people, Negroes, colored, whatever you're calling us, were not allowed to sit on the first floor of courthouses, of movie theaters, sporting events. We were all told to go to nigger heaven because nigger heaven was the second floor, third floor, fourth floor, not the main floor where the white folks sat. The word nigger was coined by slave owners and slave catchers, slave brokers. Who wants this nigger for sale? Who wants to buy this big buck, this black buck nigger, this nigger child? Who wants to do that? And white people have a fascination with the word nigger. They're fascinated by it. And some of them try to push the envelope to see if I can just get away with calling you that. And unfortunately, some Black people allow it. You have Kid Rock. Kid Rock. Famous for supporting the former guy. In June of 2013, Kid Rock was on Howard Stern. And they were talking about the N-word. And Kid Rock says, we all use the N-word. We all. He was including himself. Of course, white people use it. Howard Stern asked him, you have a half Black child, you have an interracial child, and he said half Black. Do you use that word around him? Kid Rock said, why can't I? You have Eminem, who in 1993 was throwing the N-word around. And he said that he was a teenager, he was young, he didn't know what he was doing. He knew. Teenager or not, you know. Now, teenagers, we've all been teenagers at some point. Some of us probably still are, you know. We've all done stupid things in our teen years and stuff, but you know what's right and you know what's wrong and you know what you should and should not do. Eminem knew that using the word nigger in a song or whenever he was using it, it was wrong, especially for a white boy. Morgan Wallen, a white country singer, called a friend the N-word. Music labels dropped him. Some places won't sell his records. Good. But where the N-word bothers me the most is when Black people use it. Russell Simmons says, when we use the word nigger, it's a positive now. Positive to who? You have 50 Cent, JC, Ludacris, Cardi B, many others. Who think it's okay to use the word nigger. Whether it's in a song or you're rapping, or you're talking to a friend, or you're greeting a friend, sup, nigga? What's up, nigga? It's not cool. Richard Pryor came to realize, and he said he would no longer use the word nigger in any of his performances because he realized the negative connotation that it had. And Richard Pryor, one of the great comedians of all time, he didn't. After he made that admission and said that he wouldn't, he didn't. But when you have Black people calling each other nigger, a word that is steeped just in so much violence and hatred and rape and lynchings and cross burnings. When you have Black people who are using that word, and you think of all the people, all the Black people who suffered and died for you, for us. All the Black people who were hanging from that tree, that strange fruit, as I was talking about last week. All those people in Tulsa, Rosewood, Red Summer, all those people who were lynched and murdered while being called nigger. And you're going to think of it as a positive? You're going to think of it as it's a greeting? What the hell is wrong with you? There is no race on this planet no race that has been discriminated against. Or caricatured as much as Black people. And when I say Black people, I'm talking about people of color of African descent. That's what I'm talking about. We are the only race in this country who has been discriminated against and still are. Because we're Black. I don't know. When you had Richard Pryor disavow the word nigger and say he was no longer going to use it in his act, that was one generation. Then you had another generation. You had the Chris Rocks and the Chris Tuckers who used the word nigger on a regular basis. I remember watching an interview with Oprah, Chris Rock and Oprah. Chris Rock saw no problem with the word. Oprah and Jay-Z. Jay-Z, like, Russell Simmons. Jay-Z says it's a term of affection. Term of affection for who? Ludicrous. You know how many thousands and millions of Black slaves who felt the master's whip while listening to that word? Or Black women who were raped by slave owners? Let's talk about Reese Taylor. Reese Taylor was raped by 6 white men back in the 40s. Oh, her story's known. See, again, we're talking about the history of America. We're talking about the real America. We're not talking about the stuff where you talk about, my fathers came over here from Europe and fought in the Revolutionary War and, Paul Revere. Let's talk about America. Let's talk about the other side of America that you don't want to talk about. Reese Taylor was a Black woman who was raped by 6 white men. And the ringleader of that group of white men who raped her, told Reese Taylor, after calling her a nigger several times, you better respond to me like you respond to your husband, or I'll kill you. So I go back to Russell Simmons and 50 Cent and Ludacris and Chris Rock and all of you other Black people who use that word and think it's okay. Think of Reese Taylor. What if it was a member of your family? But even if it wasn't, Reese Taylor was one of us, being raped by 6 white men who were calling her nigger. Am I pissed? Yes, I am. The caricatures that white people made of us, big lips, big butt. I mean, you have people out there who are feeding Black children in Florida at the turn of the century, using them, and this is true. You look it up, it's true. Nigger babies as alligator bait. Oh, it's just a nigger. Doesn't matter. Their lives don't matter. So I don't understand how people of color, some people of color, can think it's okay to use this word, to call another Black person this word and think that it's a term of endearment. What the hell is wrong with you? I mean, we have, trying to make this a little bigger. Oh boy, let's see if I can do this again. Nope. There we go. All right, so nigger hair tobacco. They couldn't name it something else. They had to call it nigger hair tobacco. Really? This is what you had to call it? What about this? Nigger head shrimp. Nigger head shrimp. Couldn't call it something else? Hmm? Then you had Agatha Christie. 1939, Agatha Christie, the popular fiction writer, published a novel called 10 Little Niggers. Later editions sometimes changed the name to 10 Little Indians, or And Then There Were None. But as late as 1978, not that long ago, copies of the book with the original title were being produced into the 1980s. It was not rare for sheet music produced in the first half of the 20th century to use the word nigger on the cover. The Howley Haviland Company of New York produced sheet music for the songs Hesitate, Mr. Nigger, Hesitate, and Use Just a Little Nigger, Still Use All Mine, All Mine. The latter was billed as a children's lullaby. Some small towns use nigger in their names. For example, Nigger Run Fork, Virginia. Nigger was a common name for darkly colored pets, especially dogs, cats, and horses. So-called Jolly Nigger banks, first made in the 1800s, were widely distributed as late as the 1960s. Again, not that long ago. Another common item with many variants produced on posters, postcards, and prints is a picture of a dozen little Black children rushing for a swimming hole. The captions read, "Last one in, a nigger." Yeah. And of course, we have 10 Little Niggers. 10 Little Niggers. 10 little nigger boys went out to dine. One choked his little self, and then there were 9. 9 little nigger boys sat up very late. One overslept himself, and then there were 8. 8 little nigger boys traveling in Devon. One said he stayed there, and then there were 7. 7 little nigger boys chopping up sticks. One chopped himself in halves, and then there were 6. 6 little nigger boys playing with a hive. A bumblebee stung one, and then there were 5. 5 little nigger boys going in for law. One got in chancery, and then there were 4. Chancery is court. That's what chancery means. 4 little nigger boys going out to sea. A red herring swallowed one, and then there were 3. 3 little nigger boys walking in the zoo. The big bear hugged one, and then there were 2. 2 little nigger boys sitting in the sun. One got frizzled up, and then there was 1. You couldn't call that something else? Couldn't call it 10 little birds, 10 little pigs, 10 little white boys. Last one is a white boy. Why not? The word nigger is so incredibly racist and mean and disgusting. Now, Christopher Darden, whom a lot of uh, people may know as the only African American who was on the prosecution for the O.J. Simpson trial when he was being tried for the murder of his wife, says that the word nigger is one of the filthiest and disgusting words in the English language. I agree. But yet it continues to be used. I'm just looking up something here for a moment. We have been just the word nigger, okay? These are different terms for the word nigger. Nigger lipping. That's a term used, which means wetting the end of a cigarette while smoking it. Nigger knocker. Axe handle or weapon made from an axe handle. Nigger shooter. A slingshot. Nigger steak. A slice of liver or a cheap piece of meat. Nigger stick. This is a good one. A police officer's baton. Nigger work. Demeaning menial task. Nigger tip. Leaving a small tip or no tip in a restaurant. I've been to restaurants where I've actually heard people say if my party was going to nigger tip. Because nigger tip, you know, that means that basically it's a stereotype that Black people don't leave tips. Well, I happen to know that a lot of Black people over tip. And I've done it, over tip. Because people automatically assume that Black folks don't tip. Now, other nationalities have also been called nigger. Asians have been called yellow niggers. People from the Middle East have been called sand niggers. Some white people have been called nigger lovers, especially when the Underground Railroad was in full swing, a lot of white people, especially abolitionists, were called nigger lovers because they were white people who were friendly to slaves, black slaves, and trying to help them to freedom. During civil rights in the 50s and 60s, you had white people who were called nigger lovers because whenever there was a white mob, you had some white people who would hide people or lie for them and say, you know, no, they're not here, or they've been here this whole time, or whatever, so that they would not be harmed or killed. But it's always the word nigger in it. Sand nigger, yellow nigger. There's always the word nigger. So again, I go back to Black people who use that word, who think it's okay, especially Black people who have had extraordinary success in this country, where you have extraordinary riches in this country. I look at Russell Simmons. And for him to say that it's a positive word, think of someone, now Russell Simmons and I say to Jay-Z and Ludacris and Cardi B and 50 Cent, you know, all these others, you know, who use that word nigger and don't think it's a big deal. Think of somebody like Nat King Cole. Nat King Cole built Capitol Records. He built that building because of his talent and the royalties that rolled in that Capitol Records made off of him. Think of Billie Holiday. Think of Bessie Smith. Think of Louis Armstrong. Think of all the people whose shoulders who you stood on to make the millions that you're making today, and the discrimination and the arrest, going to jail, being spit on. I mean, Russell Simmons can go into the Four Seasons and stay if he wanted to. Nat King Cole couldn't. He couldn't go to the Beverly Hills Hotel in Beverly Hills and stay there if he wanted. He was Nat King Cole, so what? You can come sing here, but you think you're gonna sleep here or eat here? Get out of your damn mind, nigger. So to those people, I say to you, and the same thing with athletes who have made millions. Think of Jackie Robinson. Hell, think of Wilt Chamberlain. Think of all the people whose shoulders you have stood on to get where you are, to make the millions that you're making today. And you use those words. Think of Harriet Tubman. A woman who broke free of bondage, was a wanted slave her entire life, a fugitive, but risked her life to go back and forth from the north to the south, south to the north, to make sure slaves were free. And some people think it's okay to use that word. I don't get it. I don't. I don't like that word. I don't use that word. And anyone who wants to say that to my face, physically to my face, you'll see what happens. Now you can say sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt me. Words hurt. When that bully is in the schoolyard and they're calling you stupid or dumb, words hurt. They matter. And when people use hurtful words, they do it with intent. They do it with the intent to hurt you. So if someone calls you stupid, you can say, oh, that's something positive now. I'm calling her stupid. Oh, that's a good thing. No, it's not. And neither is the word nigger. You know, we do need to stay woke. Black folks especially need to stay woke. Right now, there is an assault, not just on our democracy, but there's an assault on us. There's an assault on us physically, from law enforcement. There's assault on us politically from some people in the government who just don't think that we're even worth it. And there's an assault from our own people who choose to use words that are demeaning, that are rooted in a negative and violent and hateful history created by white people. Now, white people who are listening to this may say, wow, she really sounds racist. She really sounds, no, I'm stating fact. The word nigger was derived from white people in terms of how it is used towards Black people. That came from white people. That's the fact. I'm not making that up. That's the fact. I said at the beginning, I was here to talk about that word. And this is the word that I'm using. Black folks didn't go out and start selling nigger soap. That was white people. Black folks didn't go out and sell postcards of Black people being lynched. That was white people. Black folks didn't burn down Tulsa. That was white people. Black folks didn't go and burn a cross on people's lawns. That was white people. I am stating fact. I am stating what is part of the history of America. I don't care about George Washington and want to cut down the cherry tree. Hell, who planted the cherry tree? It was probably somebody Black. I'm stating fact. I am stating that the word nigger is rooted in violence and hatred and rape. It is meant to keep the Black person down. It was meant to demean them. It was meant to control them. All these stereotypes that popped up. The majority of them are wrong. And all the media does is just perpetuate the stereotype. But Black people, we help it along. Black people are just considered in this society as nothing. After all, once again, white people coined the term nigger rich. Nigger rich means poor. You know, we don't have anything. You know, Black people are supposed to be dumb, stupid, poor, no education, can't read, can't write. What? There aren't poor white people? Black folks, you're on drugs. They're all on drugs. No, no, we're not. You know, the people who are on prescription drugs are white people, not Black people, because we can't get them. We can be half dead, you know, crying with pain, and depending upon the doctor you go to, they're not going to give it to you, but they'll give it to white people and they'll prescribe them over and over and over and over and over. Meth, Black folks aren't overdosing from meth. That's not us. But for some people, it's the niggers. I don't know. I listened to part of the interview over the weekend with Vladimir Putin on NBC. And even though I disagreed with the majority of things that he had to say, one thing that Putin said that I agree with, and other countries have said it too. Look at your own country. What about your country? You know, we have a habit. You know, America is a very arrogant country. We have a habit that we do preach to others about democracy. This is how you should do things. Look at us. Well, look at America. Democracy in action when you are actively trying to prevent a certain group of people or groups of people from voting. We're still redlining in this country. We're still trying to sell homes to people of color that aren't over here, but are over here. This is where you stay. You stay over here and don't cross over here. We're still doing that. This country still has sundown towns. So while we're preaching to other countries about democracy, what about our own country? How can we be the land of the free and the home of the brave when we have white nationalists running around storming the Capitol who happen to be police officers, calling members of the Capitol Police who are African American, you're calling them niggers. And both of you took the same oath of office to serve, to protect and serve. How is that possible? I don't understand. I never thought that I would live to see an African American become president of the United States, but I did. But I also thought in the 59 years I've been on Earth, that in the 21st century, in the year 2021, that I would continue to see the amount of racism that is in this country, let alone the world. I'm talking about in this country, the amount of racism. And for people to say that this country is not racist, you're fools. Because if you did not have racism in this country, was not a racist country, then over 35 states would not be actively putting voter suppression laws on the books. And in areas that mainly affect people of color. That would not be happening. If this country were not racist, we would need Asian hate laws. Even though I'm still waiting for the laws to protect Black folks, which still hasn't come around in what, 400 years? You know, you wouldn't have laws. If this country wasn't racist, you wouldn't have police officers beating the hell out of Rodney King or Louisiana state troopers beating Ronald Green to death. And then lie about it? If this country wasn't racist, you wouldn't have a former guy who is still trying to get the Central Park Five executed. Even after they've been free from jail, exonerated, proven that they did not rape that woman and beat her up. He's still trying to get them executed, still calling for their execution. If this country were not racist, we would not have people calling people niggers in vile, disgusting ways. So again, I call on, these athletes and these songwriters and everyday, Black folks. Think of Reese Taylor. Imagine she were your mother, your sister, your aunt, your grandmother, raped by 6 white men. And again, I'm going back to the 1940s. But if 6 Black men raped a white woman, how do you think that would have turned out? You have 6 Black bodies swinging from a poplar tree. Billie Holiday would be singing about them. And going to actually call this woman a nigger while you're raping her and say, you better respond to me like you would your husband, or I'll kill you. What if a Black man said that to a white woman back in the 1940s? Hell, what if a Black man said that about and did that to a white woman today? What would happen? Oh, he would have a trial. Mm-hmm. He would be convicted. He would go to jail. But you would probably have a lot of white people wishing that they can drag him out of the courthouse like so many Black people were and hung from a tree. That's what would happen if 6 Black men did that to a white woman. And you know I'm right. You know I'm right. So the word nigger is not an okay word to use. It's not one of respect for Black people. It's not one of, hey, what's up, my nigga. It's not a greeting. It's a negative word purposely formulated to humiliate Black people. Wake the hell up. And for those white people who are itching to use that word or continue to say, I don't understand why I can't say it. Okay, you continue not to understand. You continue to say, I don't get it. One day you just may say that to the wrong person. Again, African Americans and people of African descent are the most discriminated race of people in this country. And I would venture to say on the planet. And people can disagree with me. I was listening to the news yesterday and someone got very upset because what happened in Canada, where you had someone just ram their car into a family of Muslims. That's horrific. And I listened to him say, Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Yes, I can imagine. Black people can imagine. We all need to find some way to come together. But that's never going to happen, especially not here in America, because we are so divided. I don't believe in the Joe Manchin, Kristen Sinema theory of we can all get along bipartisanship. I don't believe that. What I do believe, because America has not given me a reason not to, is that American society will always see Black people as just a bunch of niggers. And it's up to us, Black people, to make sure we elevate ourselves and each other. Even if it's something small. But those who are able to do something big, do it in a positive way. Take nigger out of your vocabulary. Now, when I do shows and I respond to someone saying, oh, they said the N-word, I'm not going to say the N-word because they used the word nigger. They didn't say, you N-word, you N-word. That's not what they're saying. I'm going to say the word. But I don't call that, I don't use that word to say it to anyone. And I just ask that our athletes and our songwriters and singers out there, you step up and you stop. You do like Richard Pryor did. He disavowed using that word. He realized what he was doing. And I do believe that was like back in 1983, 84, somewhere in the 80s. And he did. He stopped. So to Chris Tucker and Chris Rock, I say to you, you can be funny without having to use that word. Look at Mom's Mabley. She was hilarious. She was the queen of comedy. And she managed to do it without using the word nigger. Bill Cosby, no matter what you may think of him and where he is now. Sinbad. They all managed to go on stage and make us smile without using the word nigger. It's possible. We can do it. So on that note, I have nothing else, even though I'll probably say something else. But that is one word that unfortunately is here. And don't give it more attention. Don't give it more props by using it, by calling it someone that name, by using it in a music video or in a song or in a rap song or whatever. Don't give it oxygen. That's not a word that we need to promote. So on that note, thank you for listening. I hope everyone has a wonderful week. I am Solid Blue Sister. Continue to speak your truth, and I will see you next time. Bye.